When looking for new games to play, especially indies, I like games that have unique art styles and interesting gameplay ideas. And that is exactly why I downloaded and played EQI, which stands for Experience Question Interface. EQI was published by Hyperstrange, the company who published Elderborn and the upcoming Postal Brain Damaged. The game is described as a trippy first-person arcade game with spatial puzzles and a synthwave soul. And as a fan of first-person shooters, arcade games with unique visuals, and synthwave, I was sold. Also, the game is free, and that certainly helps as well. As I just stated, EQI is a first-person puzzle platformer with a trippy abstract art style and pumping synthwavy soundtrack. I would also describe it as like an atmospheric relaxation game, kind of like Journey or Flower. At first glance, the objective of each level is simple: get from the start to the end where this green portal looking thing is, and it leads you to the next level. Attempting to block your way are cliffs that you need to jump over, these fire looking platforms that you need to avoid, you need to grab keys, and you need to avoid these blobs that follow you around called viruses. The gimmick of EQI, enabling you to get from point A to B, is that you can rotate the platforms in the world to open up new platforming opportunities. The puzzle element of the game comes in where you need to determine when to rotate the platforms and in which way, and also where and when to jump to or from each platform. You do get a simple tutorial in the beginning teaching you how to run, that the fire platforms can kill you, how to rotate platforms, the basics. Again, doesn't sound too hard or complicated on paper, but it definitely takes some time to get used to. And most of the game isn't too challenging once you get a grasp on the mechanics of the game. But some of the challenges are really hard. Take this room for example. The floating platforms are too spaced apart to make any jumps, and the rotating platform has these walls on it that make it hard to figure out where you're supposed to go. What the game doesn't tell you is that momentum can build while sprinting and spinning these platforms, enabling you to fling yourself across the level to the exit. But I felt like I needed to be very exact to land where I wanted to go. Because of how precise you need to be at times, it's hard to figure out what you are doing wrong, or even if what you are doing is right. It gets a little frustrating. I don't feel this way with all the parts though. This area was long with several different kinds of platforms to maneuver and jumps to figure out, but the checkpoints were abundant, and once you figure out how and where to jump to the next platform, it functions as expected. But then we get to puzzles like this one in the desert, and it kind of feels like a mess. I spent so long on this puzzle. I felt like I did the same thing over and over and got a bunch of different results. Sometimes I would barely fling myself over, sometimes I would overshoot my jump, sometimes I was completely off my target, and then on the rare occasion I got exactly where I wanted to be. I eventually got it, but this is just one example of what I meant by the game getting frustrating when you can't figure out what you're doing wrong. I feel like I completed this room by sheer dumb luck, and of course, it's the last challenge in the entire game, so I still don't really understand what I did to complete it. It just feels like there's no wiggle room sometimes. If you don't turn this platform just right at the right second you jump, at the right angle, you won't get where you need to go. Now, do it 4 times in a row without fucking up. Also, this part really irks me. You fall forever. Why is this drop so damn long? And loading up my save brought me back to this part. So being stuck on this desert puzzle for a while and needing to reload my save a couple times, I had to watch this falling sequence 4 different times. Frustrations aside though, I really liked the idea of moving the platforms to complete different puzzles and challenges. I don't want to come down too hard on this game because even though it frustrated me, I still found it pretty cool. I really like the visual style, and the music is nice, atmospheric, groovy synth stuff. The aesthetic of the game is great, and the idea is unique and really enjoyable. The game is pretty short. I finished it in under 2 hours. So if you're a fan of these kind of atmospheric games and have the patience to overcome some frustrating areas, EQI could be worth a couple hours of your time. I'd honestly love to see these mechanics taken a step further and applied to an arena shooter. How cool would it be to utilize shifting platforms to increase your speed and momentum? It can add another layer of skill, encouraging enhanced mobility. and could add another layer of strategy as well, needing to know where your opponent is so they don't shift your platform and screw up your positioning, or so that you can shift your enemy's platform, ruining their positioning and leaving them vulnerable to attack. I'd love to see the gameplay of EQI refined and expanded upon. It already provided a unique gameplay experience, and I think with a little tweaking, it could become a cool, fully fleshed out puzzle experience, or the next step in arena shooters. Thanks for checking out this little review of EQI. I love talking about indie games, especially ones with unique art styles like this. If you have any other suggestions for me to check out, please let me know below, and stay toasty.